This video is for Activity 6, Getting into Classrooms. I was able to complete 2 observations with our assistant principal, Miss James. The first observation we completed was an area familiar to me. It was an observation on our reading specialist, or ELF as they call him now in New Hanover County, Mrs. Heath. We observed Mrs. Heath complete a Foundations lesson for Tier 3 reading students in 2nd grade. Ms. Heath utilized the phonics program Foundations. Ms. Heath was a 1st and 2nd grade teacher for several years and has been labeled somewhat of an expert in literacy and teaching students that are struggling to read how to be successful readers. We noted that when observing a reading specialist, you can see challenges the students are having in that specific focus area and how Mrs. Heath is helping to correct those challenges and help those students become successful by targeting specific standards. Throughout the observation, I noted that Mrs. Heath consistently stayed on a very steady pace as her time is limited to 30 minutes. She had all materials ready to go, and every activity and transition was very short, quick, and planned. Mrs. Heath's expertise and experience is easily noticed while she's completing the Foundations lesson, as she was able to quickly correct the students who needed it and celebrate the students who were on task and who were understanding the lesson. One item that Mrs. James said can be difficult when observing a reading specialist versus a classroom teacher is that they don't have learning targets posted, so you don't always know exactly what they're working on, but by paying close attention to the lesson itself, you can understand and see what the focus of their lesson is. My second observation was in the specials teachers area, and I observed Miss Niedenthal, our art teacher. At Pine Valley, we have 4 specialist teachers: art, music, PE, and the media coordinator or library. On this day, we observed Miss Niedenthal's art lesson with a 2nd grade class. Miss James noted that this lesson was very unique because we got to see both the beginning, middle, and end stage of the lesson. And by that I mean they worked on a clay project, and if the kids were absent a week before or 2 weeks prior, we got to see all the different stages of the lesson. We've seen some kids get their clay out, mold it, trace it using paper, use tools to cut out the mold, and then paint it. All 3 of these phases were happening all at the same time because Miss Niedenthal has amazing classroom management and she's very organized. So we got to see kids in very different aspects of the lesson and how that works. To keep the room very organized, Miss Niedenthal utilized numbers at tables for students to gather supplies and return the supplies when they were done. You could tell how much the students respected Miss Niedenthal throughout her lesson, as they were very well mannered, they listened to all the rules and expectations, and they all stayed on task throughout the entire 45-minute lesson. Even though this area of specials is different than my area of general education, I did feel very comfortable in both atmospheres. Being in this role as an admin intern has forced me to view the classroom lessons a little bit different, and as I've slowly done more observations and classroom walkthroughs, I've become more comfortable each time I walk in the classroom. When I first started doing this at the end of last school year, doing the observations as a peer observer, and then throughout the summer, working in different classrooms in the middle school, and then now doing walkthroughs and observations as a BT1 mentor, every time I do them, I'm becoming more and more comfortable in that role. It has taken somewhat of an adjustment to do that, but over these last, I would say 6 months, I've really started to find my way, and I've started to understand how to walk in the classroom, be respectful of the environment, observe the teachers, and then learn all the different amazing methods they use. And throughout this internship, I look forward to learning more of all these unique ways of teaching and seeing all these different kinds of classrooms and specials and EC, and then even the general education setting. And I look forward to continue to learn as I move throughout the program.